Hi, everybody. Mike Hancock here, Chairman of the Circle of Excellence Group. And I'm coming to you from a very dark Bali because we are at our Bali Business School. Wave hi, everyone. Okay, great. And we're so pleased to have Masami Sato, the co-founder of B1G1, here today. I think, Masami, you and I met in maybe 2004. That would be my guess. So about 22 years ago now. And Masami was doing some amazing things there, had just launched her food business at that stage, which I won't say any more about. But then, as we know, and as I always introduce Masami this way, in 2007, her and Paul, her business partner and life partner as well, were in an event with me in Western Australia. And I remember clearly sitting down in the cafe afterwards and having a conversation around the concept of small, which you're going to talk a little bit about today, and the concept of, at that stage, what was buying one and giving one. And of course, anybody who speaks to loves the concept, and it's fantastic. Hi, Yaniv, welcome. And we're so pleased to have you here today. As you know, when I saw you on stage in Singapore, I wasn't expecting you to be there, and you got up and made that tremendous speech. I said to Lani, I'm in tears the whole time, right? So don't make me cry today. But I'm so glad that you've taken the time to spend this with us. And I'm going to just hit the spotlight for you, and then over to you, Masami. Welcome.
Thank you, Mike. And, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Well, it, takes us back more than 2 decades ago when we first met. And at that time, I actually never thought I would be speaking on stage. And I will tell a little bit about that. But let me just start by sharing the slide. And so today, aside from what you've been going through during this retreat, and it sounds like you've already learned a lot. And then you are in the middle of also, competing with each other in an interesting, exciting way as well. And we did talk about that this year has been an interesting year for many of us, because for some of us, it feels like one of the hardest, times that we've experienced. But for some of us, it feels like, well, this has been the best year with so much potential. So let's see how that is going to bring us the new perspective to make the most of this year ahead of us. So first, I want to bring up this question. Why would we do that? I'd like us all to pause and ask this one simple question. Is the world a better place because your business is in it? And I hope that we can all answer to this question with yes. But what about we explore this even further? Because whilst this time of our world is an exponential time that we are in, but also it poses some of the greatest threat and also challenges that we face together as a humankind too. So for us to be able to respond to this question with a resounding yes actually means then we have a future to look forward to. Now, the question is also about really maximizing the meaning, impact, and joy. And I think all of us have been hearing this word like purpose and meaning, that we are in search for maximum meaning and purpose. But what about the impact? But most importantly, what about the joy? Because we exist in this world. We all have one life. Even if you have really, successful business, the fact that we all have a limited time available for us, and we all have one chance to be living this life. I think the maximum joy is perhaps one of the most profoundly important things, because the purpose of playing a game, of course, part of it is to get good at playing a game and win the game. But the real purpose of playing that game is actually to enjoy. So let's talk about how to maximize the joy of being in business, and then moving from this one day thinking, because we can all say when we have more time or when we have more freedom or more money or more resources or bigger team, then we would do something great. But what if we could all move from one day to every day? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And what if we could do, or you could transform something totally significantly just by having a cup of coffee? And how easy it could be if we could change the world together with that one cup of coffee every day. So the question I want to pose is this. What if every time something good happens in businesses, something great happens in the world? But it's not only about the generic idea, because if you imagine, what if every time something good happens in your business, something great happens in the world? And then if we were doing this together, what would that mean? Now, Mike mentioned the concept of the power of small. So I'm going to talk about the power of small and bring this idea to you. But in order for us to really be able to see the true power of small, we need to do something, which is to change our perspective. And this change of perspective is like instant, but it's almost makes the world inside out and upside down too, when we actually change that. And when we think about what we are doing together, we would think about our journey, because life is a journey, and also business is a journey. That at some point we began our life, and we are sharing this time together as human beings, living at the same time. But our time will complete sometime. And our businesses are the same. We begin our business journey, and sometime it will complete. But what is most important is perhaps not just about how many points we gain along the way, but the perspective we gain and the connections we form during that journey, and how we are playing this game is the most profound thing. So this is really about looking at your journey, and I'd love you to reflect your journey of getting here as well. Why are you here right now, right in that room or in your space, tuning into this conversation? Why? What brought you here? And if you are running a business, what got you go into the business? Now, then if we think about that as a part of our legacy, because we are the true evidence of the legacy of our ancestors. Correct, right? Because in order for our ancestors to survive all of the disruptions and wars and everything, and then to happen to be able to produce you to be in this place right now, you are the result of the legacy of so many people, but your legacy is something to hand over to the next generation. So let's think about the legacy together. But this is also about our legacy, because in this time, when we have these exponential opportunities ahead of us, even as individuals and individual leaders or small businesses, we could actually create something profound and maximize the impact of what we do and what we bring to our world. But the thing is, if we are really thinking about the legacy and working together, we really can create the future we want to create for the next generation. So when we look around the world, we all agree that this is a beautiful place. Some of you are from Cape Town. I haven't visited yet, by the way. I'm coming to Kenya, to Africa later this year. But I'd love to visit Cape Town because I hear how beautiful it is. And Bali is also a wonderful place. It's a big, beautiful world full of amazing things. But in that big world, undeniably, we feel like we are this tiny little dot. But this tiny little dot has a huge potential power. But as you explore your potential power and what you're going to end up doing from here, I want to share my journey. So to actually go through the tiny small dot, the journey of little dot and why we are here together. So let me begin by this photo of me in Japan when I was growing up. The smaller one, little girl in front of this shop is me. I grew up in Japan, and this is in Tokyo. My grandparents had this small business in Tokyo, and I grew up in the family business because my parents were very busy working people, working in the corporate world. So they were not at home, and throughout my childhood, during the school holidays, I spent time with my grandparents and helped them run this business. So I learned everything about the business and I became very curious. But at the same time, because I was super introverted, I didn't know how to speak with strangers and I didn't know how to express myself. But when I graduated from school in Japan, and I was thinking about what to do in my life, I did something that not many other Japanese girls did at that time, which was to become a backpacker and traveled around the world. So I had the opportunity to spend a few years in my youth traveling around the world with very limited saving. So I had to get by doing all sort of creative things, like hitchhiking or staying with people to get by. And I was introverted and shy. But when I was out there in this world, totally vulnerable, and I couldn't even speak the local languages or even English. So when I let go of the fixed expectation that I had to say the right thing or should not say the wrong thing, then I totally felt free to connect with people for the first time. And during that time, when I didn't have much traveling and being a small Japanese girl, so many people everywhere around the world helped me along the way. And often those people or families had very little, like they didn't have a lot of food, but then they invited me to come and eat with them or stay with them. So I started to see the magic of this world and how similar we were in so many ways, even though we were so different. And I also started to see that some of the happiest, smiling people I met were not necessarily those who had more, but often those who shared. And so I wondered why everything was happening in the world. And then at the same time, I started to see these things that there were so many families and people who had such bigger challenges that even I could not imagine because I was growing up in lower middle class family in Japan and my parents didn't have a lot. So they didn't have money to buy things a lot. But at the same time, I never went totally hungry for extended period of time, or I never had to sleep on the street. But the families I met along the way, the situations for them are quite different. I saw many young children sleeping on the cold night on the street. I saw families who couldn't send the kids to school. I saw children begging on the street, people with physical disabilities fending for themselves. And I thought, why is it that these things are happening to people, but we are not helping them? But you see, because we are tiny little dots, so we can't help everybody's problems. So I decided to just accept everything as they were and continue to go on my journey. So this is what happens when we look at the big challenges in the world, like still more than 700 million people don't have access to simple things like clean water, or more than 2 billion children don't have adequate access to education. We feel overwhelmed and we care, but at the same time, because we are those tiny little dots, we just keep going in our lives. And I did that. But then back in 2001, something happened to me that changed my one-day thinking to a totally different realization. This was this time. So I became a mom in 2001 for the first time. And that was kind of out of accidental moment, because I used to think growing up in Japan that I would never get married and I would never need my own children, because I grew up in a family where parents were very busy and they were not home and they were often stressed and fighting at home. So I thought that I don't need to create my own family and then create the children who felt like me. So it wasn't a part of the plan. But when I held my daughter in my arms, everything changed for me. I felt profoundly connected with this little thing. And then suddenly, at that time when I was totally moved by this experience, I started to see the faces of other children. And I remember the mothers who could not pay for the medicine for their children. And I thought that my daughter was lucky. By accident, she happened to be born where she was. We were in New Zealand at that time. It was a safe place and we weren't well-to-do, but I promised to myself that I would do everything in my power to make sure that this little girl will grow up being safe, happy, and have access to great things in life. But I realized that there were so many children who weren't lucky or as lucky, or so many mothers who could not provide the things they so wished to provide for their children. So at that time, I thought that I had one chance at living my life, so I would do something more than just taking care of my own child. So that's when I became an entrepreneur. So with a 3-month-old baby on my back, I started my very first business. I didn't know how to run a business at that time very well. All I knew was my grandparents' little family business. So we, with very little capital of 1,000 New Zealand dollars, we bought this tiny little food business in New Zealand, Christchurch, and started this food business. It was a fast food takeaway food bar with a struggling owner who wanted to get out of business. So with a baby on my back, I walked into the business and we started to make burgers and chips and hot dogs and then serve truck drivers and factory workers. And people loved it just for the sake of having a nice conversation. And maybe they wanted to come and see my daughter. And then I also tried to make those truck drivers a little bit healthier by squeezing a little bit of lettuce in the burgers. Then eventually within 6 months, our business became quite successful. So we tripled the turnover. And we had a queue of people in lunchtime, and we had a truck jam in front of our shop during the lunchtime. So with that little success, we bought another fast food business in Christchurch, and we had 2. Then we sold both and then moved to Australia for bigger opportunity. And then this business eventually became the frozen meal company that was selling organic food and healthy eating options, frozen meals. We had a distribution of 150 stores in Australia in different stores, independent supermarket. So that was when I met Mike for the first time running this company. But then there was this profound moment at that time, because I worked like 16 hours a day on average, 7 days a week to keep this business going and growing. There were so many challenges, but I kept going because I always felt that there were other people who had much bigger challenges than I had. So there were times in my journey, I became homeless and I became pregnant again. And actually, my son was born in a commercial kitchen in Brisbane. because I didn't have money to pay for rent, but we decided to keep the business going. So we went through all these crazy things to get here. But then I felt that keep going was keeping going.
And there's Masami. She thought she was going to keep going, but she's going to be back in a minute. So lovely to see you all. But how's this story for you?
Synchronicity.
Yeah, she doesn't understand the synchronicity because last night we were talking about the magic of the fact that you are here today because of so many wars, so many famines, so many diseases that affected all of our grandparents, great-grandparents, et cetera, for hundreds of years in the past. And then today we get to this call and Masami says exactly that. And Masami and I hadn't talked about it. So everybody here in this room is just like, that's crazy. That's amazing. But she's at the part in the story where she was literally sleeping on the floor of this business, keeping it going, feeding her baby at the same time when she had this epiphany. Now, I know you all want to know what that epiphany is, but I can't tell you that. But I wanted to ask you this question. I'm going to do it between the group here and between you guys online. So just so you know, everybody here can see all of you because you're all on the big screen. So I know Masami's computer's crashed or something. Hi, Angela. Yep, we can see you waving. I love the part where the slide said, what difference does your business make to the world? Does anybody know the exact wording? Is the world a better place because your business is in it? Does anybody on either online or offline have any comment on that? Yes. Yep. So we've got two here. So we'll have to listen. Yes, Rob.
I'm making workplaces fun, but we're making technology to do on investment.
So Rob's saying his business makes the workplace fun with all of the technology and all the workplace systems that he puts in place. Yes. And then we had Christina say,
We know for sure we have changed the course of people's lives.
so she knows and they know because her husband's here as well, for sure that they have changed people's quality of health forever. So do you guys online have anything to say?
Mac, I would like to say...
Oh, Libby, hi.
Hi. Yes, I think my equilibrium business is definitely making the world a better place, unlocking people's emotional intelligence, giving them the power to really connect with themselves, developing their self-awareness. They're able to self-navigate better and be intentional and purposeful. Loving this webinar. I hope she can come back.
Yeah, well, who knows? The webinar gods are in charge of that. The beautiful thing is that none of us panic when this happens anymore. We used to panic years ago. These days we just go, whatever. Yep. Who else? Yanni, did you have your hand up? Yes.
Yeah, because most of us, we open the business to make money, and to provide for our families. And now we could take it to the higher level and see our mission. And I think if you have a greater mission, then you make more money and you contribute more to the society. So the both missions are equal. It doesn't contradict each other, to make money and to make a powerful impact on society.
Absolutely. Brad, did I see your hand up?
Oh, yeah. Still Human definitely makes an enormous difference in the world of work. It was purpose actually before profit. And the workplace is such a frightening, damaging, dangerous place these days that every time we have a conversation with somebody about what goes on in the workplace, something changes. They go home, they're stressed, they do something about work, whether leaders or team members. So very intentional, and the world is definitely a better place. And that's the purpose.
Wonderful. James?
Mike, I believe at Lifestyle Clinic, I give people energy, clarity, and resilience so that they can be the best version of themselves and perform and excel on all levels.
Thank you, James. Red card or green card for James? He's got a green. James, we just had everybody had to do a 1 minute exercise, which was a pitch to people. And it was very confronting because every other audience member had a red card and a green card. And you only got a green card if people felt you were authentic, clear, and also they believed in what you were saying. So you got a green card then from one of the audience members that was prepared there. So Andrea, you can thank her later for giving you a green card. She's waving at you there in the background. Okay, anybody take
Sato, audio.
Anybody take anything else out of it? Just give me 1 second. She's on the phone. I'm Masami. We're having a nice chat without you, so don't panic. Crashed. So Masami's asking exactly where she dropped out. You dropped out at the time you exactly had your second child. So your child dropped out of you and your Zoom dropped. Yeah, no worries. Take your time. Everybody's excited for you to come back. So you just reboot your computer. Okay, bye. Okay, so you guys heard that online. So she's rebooting her computer. Her whole computer just crashed. That's because I think the energetics sometimes, because I'll blame Bali for this, because we've been talking a lot about the energy of Bali and how Bali's not necessarily has a difference between good and bad energy. That's the way this island is. That's the way the religions are on this island and the face of this island. Sometimes there's a lot of destructive demons here. For the South Africans, I'll call them tokoloshes, right? That are hiding in Bali that like to just play with the energy a little bit. So where were we? What else did you get from it so far?
Happiest people share, not have.
Isn't that incredible? And in my travels, Gordon said that the happiest people share, not necessarily the wealthiest people. I've found exactly the same thing in my travels as well. Some of the poorest villages that I've been to basically have the happiest people. And they have very, very little, but they just want to give you absolutely everything. Yay, Masami's back. So, yay. So Masami, I know you're on mute at the moment, so just have that awareness.
Yes. So sorry, Mike was telling me that I dropped out when I was talking about the second child.
Yeah. When you dropped the second child, you dropped out. So we are ready and waiting. Back to you.
Okay, but let me see. All right, so I hope this time the sharing works. So in 2007, we moved to Singapore to start the B1G1 as the global initiative. So I wonder if you heard when I talked about the idea of B1G1 as, every time something good happens in your business, something great happens in the world, like coffee shop giving access to water, or accountants helping educate children, or giving income generating opportunities, or speakers actually every time they speak, they make an impact. So this is the world of B1G1, and I was going to share this video. Let me just try whether this works, Mike. Tell me if you can hear the sound.
Yes.
Hello. At Slumbersack here in Germany, for every baby sleeping bag we sell to our customers around the world, we give to support the health and education of children in need.
Hi everybody, we're Ellis Knight International Recruitment in the UK, and for every placement and interview that we conduct, we give access to life-saving resources to people in need around the world.
Here at Green Super Camp Australia, we're really aware of the impact our young leaders will make in the future. And that's why we involve all the young people who come to camp in selecting B1G1 projects that they want to make a difference in the world.
At Beyond Impact, we make a difference with B1G1 in every event, every coaching call we facilitate, and every speech that we give. And one of our B1G1 goals is to rescue 1,000 kids from sex trafficking.
Hello from Oak Aquatic Swim School, Miami, Florida in the USA. We teach families to be safer around the water, and for every swimming lesson we teach, we give impacts to B1G1, and we're so grateful to have B1G1 in our lives.
Now, so this is the world of B1G1. And what I want to quickly go through is how this actually works and works for businesses around the world as well. So we talked about the big challenges like people don't have access to water and how do we change that? And individually, it's an issue that we may not be able to tackle, but we know that access to water is fundamentally so important for everyone. Now, when we look at the project like construction of well or other solutions, that one well could cost $5,000 to $10,000, and it might not be easy for one business or one person to create that solution for communities. But when we actually break that down into a micro unit, like how many days the well lasts, how many people can it support, then it could become something so small as 1 or 2 cents to give access to water to one person for a day. And it's possible. So over the years, last 19 years, we've worked on this B1G1 methodology and created the systems and created the partnership with effectively operating charity organizations around the world. And today we have a solution. So in the B1G1 project list, you can find micro impact opportunities like this. And the fact that this model requires 3 things as the pillars of the model is very, very important, because the first thing in making a difference together is about the impact that businesses have typically supported charity activities around the world. But here, it's not about that. It's about moving to impact and making sure that our everyday business can create a tangible and measurable impact. So these projects are carefully assessed and vetted as well and broken down. And then we also make sure that the 100% of what businesses give go to the project. And then the second thing is habit. And it's not about doing one thing once off, but it's about embedding this so that we can transform the habit and the everyday actions and create a better world. And then the last thing is connection, because this way of integrating impacts brings more meaning and joy for you. But also, we will be doing this together so that we don't need to solve all of the challenges alone, but we can do this together, working with so many different types of businesses. And when we do these 3 things, then it maximizes the joy of the moment for you, for your team, and for the clients and the customers too. And technically, we figured out how to do this because it's a simple idea, but we need to make it happen systematically. So this is just one example of how impact can be embedded into business. So like a drag and drop canvas, you could connect business activities like every time you run a workshop or you complete a certain reporting or a project, then you could choose to connect that with a particular impact and then make it happen seamlessly. So when businesses around the world are doing this together over the years, even though individual businesses might create some impacts, together it's profound. So in the 19 years working together, our members have created more than 400 million measurable impacts, including planting trees or giving meals or days of education or microloans provided. When we bring those things together, we really can make a difference. And what we are aiming to go to next is the 1 billion impacts. And when we set a direction or target like this, sometimes people say BHAG and have a big goal. And that's true. It's good to have a bigger goal to align with. But why we think collective measurement is so powerful is because we can appreciate every one of them. That one business and their team member delivering something today and bringing meaning and joy to their clients and customers is that one impact that adds to this collective number. And so here are a couple of examples of B1G1 businesses and leaders and how they actually talk about the meaning of being part of the movement that positively changes the world and how they track that impact. So this is one company who is a coach, and this is a HR agency in Europe. And they also, integrate the impact counters coming from B1G1, but they also talk about how working together to create these positive change is profoundly meaningful for their business. And when the leaders of companies choose to do this, not because it's a ESG or CSR or sustainability, but because the leaders believe in the opportunity and the privilege we all have to serve for the good for the world, then the culture of business transforms and the resilience of business deepens because people are here for more than just getting maximum benefit or best price. So this is another example that whenever a business does something, a company could choose to say, well, actually today by doing business together, you have helped bring 6 children their access to bicycles so that they can go to school and have a better future. And they can talk about why they choose to do so. Fundamentally, I believe that all of us believe in the good that we get to do. But often we go, one day, when we have more time, more money, we would do this. So imagine this picture. This act of pollination is precisely what we are here to do. Businesses exist to bring greater good for the marketplace, our customers, and then the communities. So when we are pollinating our flowers, every time we harvest our nectar, and when we are doing this naturally, we know that we can solve the challenges that we face collectively. But if every business is only maximizing their profit in the short term, then of course we know that way of doing business is not sustainable. Now, when I speak to, I want to make an impact too. So every one of you, so Mike, you can tell me how many people we had for today, but I want to make an impact. And today, the impact I select is a beekeeping project. So for each and every one of you, I'm going to give 7 days of beekeeping business support to a farmer so that it brings more income for their families, but also to create more sustainability for the community.
22 people.
22 people. So I would do the impact. So 22 farmers receive 1 week of support. No? And imagine being able to do this yourself too. So now I want to play one more quick video, which is from one of the businesses applying this and doing this more than a decade and what impact it had on their business as well.
I'm Peter Fowler, one of the partners here at Collins Hume. Yeah, well, the journey with B1G1's been fantastic and very rewarding for not only me personally, but the team and even my family. Actually, it's been brilliant for business because we've had a lot of staff, a lot of clients join Collins Hume because of the purpose-driven approach that we take.
I joined B1G1 as a member, and then I started my business and I needed an accountant. And I remember the first meeting I had with Peter where I turned up at his Ballina office and I walked up the stairs and there's B1G1 just plastered all over the wall. And immediately I knew I was with the right company. So they've been my accountant ever since.
Over the years, we've done all manner of giving. We do a local focus, but obviously we also have an international focus, and B1G1's been our platform partner for all those givings. And we've now got a firm full of people that are absolutely, I've got to say, wonderful to connect with.
The reason I joined Collins Hume was because of their affiliation with B1G1. I came from a firm where there was a lot of profits and taking and things, and nobody really was in the space of giving, and that was just important to be part of my life.
Oh, it's great. Like, it's nice to know that I'm working at a company which really cares about that sort of thing, and it's not just about numbers, especially with the maps and the sort of charts. You can see where the impacts are going, and it's nice to see that it's sort of local, but it's also around the world as well.
So that's 70,810 days of clean drinking water you've all helped to provide. Thanks very much for coming.
In the last 12 months, we've become an employer of choice locally because some of our most recent recruits have approached us, and without having to look at financial data, that's a good financial outcome.
I'm Naomi Monk, and I'm practice manager for Collins Hume. I think just the amount of impacts is just incredible. Knowing that what we're doing is actually making a difference, and the partners here being so involved in it is just a wonderful thing.
I've actually gone to see a lot of the B1G1 projects. Personally, I can see the impacts that they've made overseas, and also up in Queensland with the Daintree and some of the stuff that they're doing up there.
To look at the projects and really understand the flow-on effect.
It's the right thing to do, so we should be doing it, which is really refreshing in a business.
I just love the concept of the power of small and making a difference. Like I said, I'm a small business here in northern New South Wales. It's just such a nice fit having B1G1 as part of my business, and then doing business with other businesses like Collins Hume. It's about finding your tribe.
We are business for good.
So I hope that if you resonate with this, you will explore including this impact as a part of your business journey and make it every day, because the more businesses doing this and making a positive change, our world is going to be a better place. And earlier, when I talked about this, I mentioned that just something like a cup of coffee. So let me talk about how it can be done for something like a cup of coffee a day. Now, so the B1G1 model, I said 100% of giving goes to the project. We take nothing, but we have a membership initiative and a platform access, which actually businesses invest in for something like $1 a day. Because when we do this, we are investing into the ecosystem together. And then that gives you access to tools and resources, communication asset too. And then whenever you are creating impact, starting from just a few cents, or $1, or then 100% of that goes to the project. And then how you give, where to create the impact, and how much to give is under your control. And your impact grows together with your business. And when you join us together, then today I'm actually offering through Mike's my special introduction, you can become a business for good for $1 a day. So if you could keep this link and then let us know that you want to actually consider being part of the B1G1 movement and making your business a business for good, then please scan the QR code, or I will drop the link in the chat later too. But if you have a phone where you can scan, then please scan this QR code to make the access the special offer coming from Mike, and then you get connected with Mike as well through that. So it's really about thinking about the ecosystem of the business and then showing up as a business for good in the world every day, which makes your game plan even more meaningful, because your win is no longer just about how much you gain for yourself, but it's about how much gain you can create for others in the communities who are part of this. This is really about legacy. And when I accidentally connected with Mike this year, after so many years, and we bumped into each other at this speakers convention in Singapore, we both were so moved by that reconnection. Because first of all, Mike is seeing that after more than 2 decades, we are still doing this and bringing the impact in this world. But I actually saw Mike as the president of Global Speakers Federation, and seeing him gain the reputation and the opportunity in the leadership is very moving. Because when you know that the people with genuine intent to create a better world by uplifting other leaders, and seeing how they are also receiving recognition and opportunities is very, very moving. And Mike told me at that time that he wanted to, work together to bring this message to more leaders, because more leaders doing this will really change the world. So I hope that we get to connect beyond this session, because we can turn up and showing up for special opportunity like this event. When you tuned in and when you decided to come to Bali, you made a decision that could potentially change the course of your journey forever. But sometimes when we get inspired, we go like, okay, let me take a look at this later. And then it becomes one day again. So I hope that we can actually connect to turn this special power of small into the power of all together. Now, we talk about things like sustainability, and lots of debate happens in the global leadership space too, but we don't have enough actions. And sometimes this sustainability conversation becomes, it's all about environmental work. But actually, it's about uplifting everyone. Because if families are still struggling and not being able to send their children to schools or can't have access to water, we cannot create a more peaceful world. So we have the privilege and the opportunity to do this in this exponential time we are in. So back to this question, is the world a better place because your business is in it? Paul Pullman, former CEO of Unilever, he's a well-known leader, but he really, really courageously challenged the corporate business practice to really bring the purpose and the impact in the dialogue. He has a message for you. Mike, I took a little bit of time with the online disruption, so I hope that I can end with this one quick video the message from a global leader for you to think about the legacy you get to have in your business. Piece of advice or message, what would you like to share?
Well, I think the best leaders in the world know what we need are leaders with a high level of humanity, humility, empathy, compassion. Leaders that have a strong sense of purpose, that are able to embed that at the core of their business. This is really showing, in my opinion, how humanity should function. And if we would be able to multiply this and do this like you do with B1G1, to multiply that across the world, in fact, each and all of us are making these ripple effects that change the world for the better, and there's no better time to do that than now. In some parts of the world you meet people that think that greed is good, but in my life I've discovered that over the longer term generosity will always win. So we need these type of leaders that put the interest of the common good ahead of their own. There's no better time to do that than now.
So there's no better time to do it than now. And we have opportunity to do this. And I think it's actually very simple, because if we think about our own families and the people who we care about, long time ago, we could say, this is what I do to provide for my family. But what's happening today is that we are seeing so much more connectivity around our world. So what we are doing anyway is impacting what happens everywhere around the world. And our lives are supported by so many people doing what they do because of global connectivity. So making our world a better place starts with every one of us, every one of these little tiny dots. Because if we did just one thing today and then inspired somebody else through that, then collectively together, we really can transform what's happening in our world and our future as well. So hopefully you get to think about the impact, joy, and meaning as an equally important part of your business development and success in the times to come. And thank you, Mike, so much for inviting me here to share this idea of power of small with the wonderful people that you are connected with.
Thank you, Masami. Can we give Masami a big round of applause?
Thank you.
I said on a personal note, no, I'm not playing music, am I? On a personal note, I really hope one day you win the Nobel Prize for this. I really do, because coming from where you've come from, not being able to speak English, and then you realize to put this business forward, you're going to have to speak not only to one-on-ones, but on stages and on videos and on webinars around the world. And you've got some amazing people involved in B1G1 over the years, knocking on the door of 500 million impacts around the world. And it's only going to get more and more and more, heading towards the billion. You're a very rare person, Masami, who's really, really made the world a better place. And I personally want to thank you for that. And I personally honor you for the work, and Paul for both of the work, and because you've both done it together, for the work that you've done. I encourage everybody, the beautiful thing about B1G1 is that once you're involved, all of the money goes direct to the project. There's no clip of the ticket. I know with some of the big name social givings, you can lose 60, 70, 80% before the money actually gets to where it should go. And so that's always been something I think that you guys have done brilliantly. And I also love the fact that for $10, you can provide some water, maybe education for a day, plant a tree, and possibly some other things as well, which just allows you to pick projects that are really synonymous with what you do. So Masami, we're sort of coming to out of time there, but I would invite everybody to connect with you. Take a screenshot. You'll easily find her on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people on the chat saying thank you. There's Libby saying thank you for the amazing work you do. And guys, thank you. Yep. Thanks, Masami. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of the time in Bali and for the program too.
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. And then looking forward
Bye-bye,
to
everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.